All right, so for math today, we're doing 2 pages. These are not consecutive pages. We have 232 and 245, and you might be able to do all of these on your own because it's review, but some of it's been a while. So we're going to do a little review before we get started, starting with page 232. So let's start by reviewing multiples. Multiples are what you get when you multiply a number by anything. So multiples of 8 would be, you'd have 8, 16, 24, anything 8 times whatever. So 80, 800, those are all multiples of 8. Multiples of 23, you'd have 23, 46, 230, just keep going. Anything you multiply that number by would be a multiple. And then factors is a little bit like the opposite. What numbers can you multiply to get 12? So for factors of 12, you'd have 1 and 12. You'd also have 2 and 6, and then 3 and 4, and we call those factor pairs because they go together. And for 15, you'd have 1, 3, 5, and 15. And there are your pairs. So that can lead us to a review of prime and composite, and prime numbers have only 2 factors. So for example, 5 is a prime number because only 1 and 5 are the factors, and 13 would be another prime number example because only 1 times 13 equals 13. And in composite numbers are any numbers that have 3 or more factors. So I don't know, 6 could be a composite number because it has factors of 1, 2, 3, and 6. Or another one, any even number, 21 would be composite because you have 1, 3, 7, and 21. So now we should be ready to do this page here. And are these numbers prime and composite? Let me give you a hint. Any even number, 26 is an even number, is composite because it will have 2 as a factor. Except the number 2 is prime because it's so small. So then B should be easy. C, I mean, this is kind of hard to figure out just on your own. You have to go through numbers and numbers. I'm going to give you a hint. These are the factors of 97, and then you can figure out if it is prime or composite. 121, hopefully you know a fact that gives you 121. Of course, there's 1 times 121. Can you think of the other one? And then that will tell you, if you can think of another one, that is prime or composite. And then now we have factor pairs for all of these numbers. So of course, you have the 1. It's an even number. And that's actually it for 34. And for the rest of these, I'm just going to give you a hint about how many you need to find. 64 will have 4 factor pairs, including a square number. 72 has a ton. Let me give you some hints for 72. All right, 72 actually has, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 factors for 72, including numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all factors. So hopefully you can figure out, like for this one, what is half of 72? If you skip by 3, what would you get? 4. And then for these last two, I'll even give you a hint. If you double 3, you're going to have a factor pair there. And then I'll let you try to figure out the last one on your own. But hopefully you know your times tables, and that will help you out with that one. And then for 79, your hint is that 79 is a prime number. So that should tell you automatically what are the factor pairs of 79. And now we have multiples. So let's look here. And multiples of 14, which is correct. Right away, I know it's not the first one because there's an odd number here. 55 is odd. It can't be odd. So this one is no good. I would just write out the factors to figure it out. Or, I mean, not the factors, but the multiples. So keep adding 14. The next would be 42. Add 14 to that. And then you can figure out which list is right. And number 4 is basically asking for what are the factors of 54, if that's the area of a rug. And your hint is there are 4 factor pairs, or 8 factors total for 54. And then, not a multiple of 7. Just list out your multiples of 7, and you could probably recognize it anyways just by looking at the list. And then now we're up to fraction review. So here we go. All right, so it's been a couple months. There are basically two ways to go about this. One is you can draw a picture. We need 15 fourths. So there's 4, there's 8, there's 12 fourths, 13, 14, 15 fourths. So the answer is 1, 2, 3 wholes and then 3 fourths. That's one way to do it. The other way to look at this is straight up like a division problem. 13 over 5 is the same as writing 13 divided by 5. It's the same thing. So can you do 13 divided by 5? Great. Now what? So this is the part you might not know, but if you take the remainder of 3, you can put it on top of the 5 and make a fraction. So your answer here is 2 whole and then 3 fifths. Let's do that one more time. How about 21 divided by 4? I know 4 times 5 is 20, so there's 1 left. So again, I'm going to take this remainder and make it a fraction by putting it above the 4. So I have 5 whole and 1 fourth. And then you can do the last one by either drawing a picture or by doing this division trick. Same deal as these. We've done these before. We put it on Seesaw, but you have two ways to do it. You could draw a picture, or I'll show you the other way. So let's do both ways. Here we go. Okay, so if I draw this picture and I fill in 3 and 1/4, then what do I have? I have 4 fourths, 8 fourths, 12 fourths, 13 fourths. The other way to do it is like this. Take the denominator, multiply it times the whole number. 6 times 8 equals 48. Then I add the numerator. 48 plus 7 is 55, and the eighths remains the same, and then I have 55 there. So for these other two, you can either draw a picture or you can do the trick that I've just showed you that we did before. And now we're doing some equivalent fractions. So quickly, it's been a while, but let's do a little review here. Let's all agree that multiplying by 1 or dividing by 1 will give you the same number. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 divided by 1 is 5. It's the same for fractions. 1/2 times 1 is 1/2. 1/2 divided by 1 is 1/2. This is true no matter what. And we also know that any fraction where the numerator and denominator are the same is equal to 1. So what we can do is multiply things by 1 or divide them by 1 and get a different version. So let's take a look at what I mean over here. So 2 100ths. What I can do is I can multiply this or divide this by 1, and I'm going to divide it because I know I can divide both those numbers by 2. And to do this, we just go straight across. 2 divided by 2 equals 1, and 100 divided by 2 equals 50. So an equivalent fraction for this is 1/50. Okay, 4/5 we have next, but we can't divide those numbers, so we'll just multiply it by something, and it doesn't matter what we do. Why don't we do 3/3? So it's the same as 12/15. Or there's any endless number of possibilities you could use here. 3/12, we can divide both those numbers by 3, so why don't we try that? And then 2/8 you can do on your own. And now here we are comparing fractions to finish this off. So this first one's interesting. We know 7/6 from the method we just used is actually more than 1. It's equal to 1 1/6, right? So of course that's bigger than a fraction, a regular fraction. This next one, let me get you started with a hint. You can reduce both of these and have it the same denominator. So reduce 3/12 by dividing by 3/3. Reduce 4/16 by dividing by 4/4, and you're going to see what numbers you have and what goes in the middle. Why don't we just draw a picture for this next one? Okay, there you go. You have 3/4, you have 4/5. It's pretty close, but you can see which is bigger. And then for this 1/2 one, I will say multiply that 1/2 by 8/8, and you will have a number that will show you how to compare that to 7/16, and that's it. So thank you. Got it in under 10 minutes. Hopefully this is all coming back. Review, and have a good day. Goodbye.